decisions, great mound visits, great job not letting the best player beat you.
This one crushed, out to right field. And it's going to be out of here. Pennsylvania walk-off home run. Travis Gavonic sends him to Williamsport.
With the 37th pick of the 2023 MLB Draft, the Detroit Tigers select Kevin McGonigal, a shortstop from Monsignor Bonner High School, Drexel Hill, Pennsylvania.
2 balls, 2 strikes to Bryce Harper. Suarez delivers. Swing and a drive. Left field. It's deep. It's gone. Yes! And it is gone!
Yes!
It is bedlam at the bank as Bryce Harper has put the Phillies on top.
Are you kidding me?
Oh, his 10th career home run in the postseason. And he may never hit a bigger one.
What is up, Delaware County, and welcome back for episode number 42 of Delco Baseball Now. My name is Brendan Ricciardi. As always, I'm joined by Ben Thorpe. And Ben, for the first time, we are here in studio.
I'm just super excited. We're over at INR Studios. I don't know exactly.
I guess Garnet Valley, right? Yeah, Garnet Valley, technically.
Garnet Valley. Really excited. I do kind of miss my bedroom with the Playboy Cardi poster, but we'll take it.
Yeah. No. So we're a couple minutes down the road from Ascent. If anybody trains over there in the off season, which will be very convenient for the sake of having interviews.
Yeah.
I'm sure we can get plenty of guys over right from Ascent. Also, if we ever want to bring some stuff over and film, and do interviews there.
Yeah.
Get the little wireless mic. Yeah, that'll be fun. No, we're really excited to be here. And it's just it's the next step for us because, we started this last summer and, ever since then, it's been kind of just like a slow build. What can we do to try and expand the content, expand everything that we do and, just keep trying to give people what they want to see. And I think the next step in that is doing the interviews in person because, there's only so much of a connection you can get doing stuff on Zoom.
Yeah, 100%. I think that is the quality of everything will go up once you do in person. Zoom works for what it was, but definitely being in here and everything, I think it's really going to take our stuff to the next level.
Yeah, and I'm sure there's going to be some days that we can't make it in here. I'm sure that, we won't be done with Zoom forever, but the idea is to have it here realistically once a week during the season, just because, until we keep building the staff up, it's kind of hard for us to be in here multiple times a week while we're also trying to write game recaps, do the graphics, editing, all that kind of stuff. And I think until hopefully someday it's our full-time thing, but until right now, I think once a week would be a good, way to be able to capture everything going on.
Yeah, and just kind of also give us time to, like you said, do our actual jobs and stuff. So, but hey, once a week it's going to work. I'm excited for it. Yeah,
unfortunately we are adults and we have responsibilities, maybe not too many responsibilities as a substitute teacher, but regardless, enough that, we're going to keep building this up and see what we can do with it. But even though we both don't live in Delco anymore, we had to make sure the studio was in Delco.
Oh, yeah. Got to stay true to the roots.
Especially with the majority of the people that we'll be interviewing being in Delco. It make sense to be all right, everybody come out to Westchester and record. We'll make you drive 40 minutes to come do it.
Do a little hour-and-a-half trip out.
Yeah. All right, so the main 2 things we wanted to start with for the intro here was talking about how we're going to be doing the interviews in person and also the fact that we're looking for advertisers. So we got all this nice wall space here. Also, we can be bought. I'll drink a Body Armor, like a Gatorade. I'll wear a T-shirt for whatever, company wants us to promote their products and stuff. But the reality is, if we want to be able to do this as much as we can do, we need support from everybody. And I would like to think that, it would be a two-way street in the sense that, we've built up a nice audience, an audience that, hopefully trusts us in their products. Yeah. I would like to say. But yeah, feel free to reach out, send any messages through social media, email. I think it's just delcobaseballnow@gmail.com. Because if you don't, we might just have to go door to door and start begging businesses to give us money for their stuff.
Yeah, go put your name on this beautiful wall right here. It's gonna get broadcast out to the world.
Yeah, and maybe someday if we can stream games, we'll be able to get some game day sponsors as well. But our mailbox is always open here. All right, let's get into the most pressing matters here, I would say, is all of the commitments. Because right now, there's really not too much going on in the area just in terms of pure content. But there's a lot of guys committing to colleges. And I think, it has to start with the fact that Lower Merion pitcher Van Wilner has joined Carroll's Gavin Ray and Haverford School's Ian White Jr. at East Carolina. And I guess my biggest question is, what's the East Carolina to Delco connection? Because it's kind of odd that just it's a great program. It's top 25 every year. It's just kind of random that 3 guys from, a small area in PA all ended up there.
I mean, I would just say that East Carolina knows ball. Like they know their talent.
Yeah, I want to go to a game there so bad.
Oh my God.
Like the jungle, like the fact that I think, aren't they the ones where the fence is really low and the outfielders are basically like right on, like the fans are like right on top of the outfielders.
Drunk students sitting out there yelling obscenities at you. It's got to be awesome.
And there aren't many D1 schools in the country that are just a baseball school. Like it purely, the number one draw on campus. Like the reason that you go there is because you're playing baseball. Like that's the biggest community. So yeah, I want to talk to those guys. I want to see is there like an assistant coach down there that recruited all of them, like someone that has ties to the area. I want to say that that Ian White was the one to commit first. Like, did he play with these guys? Did he reach out to them and ask if they wanted to come join him? Like, I'm just curious, but I mean that just sets a road trip up right there.
Oh yeah, that's I feel like that one's a really easy. We've been looking for some Delco Baseball Now road trips. I think that's a pretty obvious favorite right now.
Yeah. Find a time where someone that's from Delco on another team they play goes down there. There's a play against them. Make that work there. All right, next up on the list, we got another tandem coming. We got Bonner's Irv Fisher and Quinn Bryan are both going to Wingate, which is, I think we said North Carolina.
Yeah, D2,
right?
D2 in North Carolina.
D2 powerhouse in North Carolina. I know Quinn committed first, so it's the same thing. It's these guys are kind of just bringing Delco wherever they go.
Yeah, I think that's a really cool part about, especially our area. I feel like when it's kind of these guys obviously went to Bonner together, but you look with East Carolina and some of these other places that we'll get to, it's such a close-knit community, especially baseball wise, where someone commits somewhere and it's I'll go play my boy or something like that.
Delco's everywhere.
Yeah.
Delco's everywhere. I mean, you can see it anywhere around the country. You'll find someone with a Delco flag or even just the accent, we stick together. And yeah, I know. I think it's cool to kind of bring that, Delco style of baseball, hard-nosed, gritty, the Sammy Berman style, I like to say, when he told me the one time, that he tries to bring Delco around with him everywhere. But both of those guys will be seniors this year and on a team that's made 3 straight state Final Fours. So I know that they're eager to get over the hump before they get out.
Yeah, and they're looking pretty set up to get over that hump.
Yeah, we'll do a full high school preview. I think the season officially starts mid-March.
Yeah.
I know there's the little scrimmages before that they do. But yeah, we'll get some high school guys on as well. So this one's interesting. The next thing we're going to move on to here is Misericordia, because this is a team that leads the world in hit by pitches. All they do is get hit by pitches. They had no Delco guys on a team that made the College World Series last year for D3. And then at the start of next year, they're going to have 5. Because right now, Josh Lillis from Sun Valley, Drew Van Horn from Garnet Valley, and Brian Henry from Bonner are all there. Now we have Jake McDonough from Strathaven and Will Tamar from Haverford Public High School. They're both committed there. It's just, they went from 0 to 5 in terms of Delco guys. And on a baseball roster, that's a pretty big chunk.
Yeah, I think that might be outside of the school, the colleges in Delco. Is that the one that has the most Delco guys?
It's going to be close. I know Westchester's got a lot.
Oh, yeah.
I know that, shout out Penn State Club Baseball. Penn State Club Baseball has multiple, Marple, Radnor guys, Garnet Valley, Stoga, all over the place. Maybe Strathaven if Pac plays. He's still waiting to find out if he's going to be with varsity or not. But either way, it's a pretty win-win situation. Can't say I know too much about Will, but congrats to him. Jake McDonough from Strathaven. Obviously, we got to watch a lot more throughout the playoff run that they went on, and that kid is just, he's country strong. When I would see him, I went to some of the practices just because I was home from school, and as someone that played at Strathaven, I've never really seen someone just flick balls over the left field fence in BP like that. It was just, his swing is so quiet, but it's just if it wasn't for a 400-foot Penn State fence, he would have had a big moment in that state championship. But no, I mean, it's another, what's Miz recorded, like an hour-ish away, hour and a half probably.
Yeah, they're up kind of.
It's like Dallas area.
Yeah, I think it's like Scranton-ish,
Yeah.
like a little south.
Yeah. But yeah, plenty of college baseball road trips coming. And I'm excited because especially, it's 5 guys from 5 different Delco high schools. And I feel like now with like travel ball and stuff, guys are starting to kind of like get to know their opponents more. Because I feel like growing up for us, it was a lot of Legion. It was a lot of like Babe Ruth where like you stuck with your area guys and would always like play against them.
Yeah.
Now it's like, people from everywhere.
Yeah, I would say growing up, like I knew pretty much until I was 17 and played on one of those kind of like college showcase program things. It was really just the guys I grew up with. Like we played from 9 to when we graduated high school, and it was just those guys. So it's kind of cool now to see that, you're kind of making more friends, starting to know people from different schools.
Yeah, and playing first base for most of my life, I would be a conversationalist. Not if like the game was like very, intense.
Yeah.
But like that would be like the only way I'd really get to like talk to people. Because most of the time you grow up just like playing against people and like, just disliking them because of all like the intense games. But yeah, no, it's cool to see. And it's also cool to see when like travel ball, when guys from the same high school are on the opposite travel teams. It's all of a sudden, because we've been talking about going from opponents to teammates. Now we're going from teammates to opponents. And that makes it even more interesting to me. All right, let's move on here. We got a couple Penn State branch schools. So we'll start out with Mark Zupo from Garnet Valley. He's going to Berks, which is a D3 school. But now Penn State Brandywine is going to be a D3 school as well. Not this upcoming season, I believe. I think it's the season after that.
Okay, yeah.
I think they have one more season left in, it's like the PSUAC. And I played there 1 year. It was kind of cool that in the conference every school was a branch school, because you always wondered like how like the uniform matchups, they're basically the same every game.
Are they really?
I mean, like everybody's wearing blue and white, like a couple
sense,
teams will throw in like, I want to say I think we played like Schuylkill or something, and I think they had a black one.
Okay.
And other teams maybe like a powder blue, but like for the most part it's like every game is Penn State versus Penn State. You
can only do so many variations of that. It's really
we had a vest, to change, like a white vest to change things up a little bit. But we got 3 guys committed to Brandywine, 2 from Sun Valley. We'll have to get Dylan Everly to share his input.
Start a pipeline down there.
Great name right here, Ivano Romaniello. Great baseball name. And Will Newnham are both committed to Brandywine. And Nick Gordon from Garnet Valley. So we got 3 guys there. And listen, I think, if they want to be able to, Brandywine wants to be able to compete at the D3 level for real, like they have to get the best guys from this area that are D3 talents. Like if they want to be, because they're going to be in that division with like Keystone is in that one, like on the other side of the conference. And I think like Wilson College up there is good. Like they're going to have some, some competition. And, obviously I played there for a year. I know like the skill level, like they're going to need to, bulk up a little bit, basically.
Keystone's dirty. Shout out to Darren Hagan, Upper Darby Blue Sock up at Keystone now. But yeah, they're so good. Yeah. That's going to be interesting to see. And I'll say I've been out to a couple Brandywine games, and like they're solid. Like I think like the level of baseball is close to that of like a D3 or like probably like mid-tier D3.
Yeah, like when I was there, we beat Ursinus. It was tough though, because like, at the end of the day, we had to save our best pitchers for the conference games, but the better teams that we're playing are the out-of-conference games. Yeah. So we're throwing these poor freshmen out there against like Cabrini, Eastern, and then saving our best guys for like these not great Penn State branch schools. Like, it's a tough spot. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what they do there. I know that I don't think they're ever able to win that branch school conference. We lost in the championship. So maybe try and sneak one out before you
last
move
dance.
up. Yeah, last dance. All right, so we got a couple more commitments here before we get into the bulk of the show, which is the top moments of the Delco baseball season from 2023. We got Troy Neff from Chichester. He's going to King's College. You said it before the show. Not really many people around here go there, it seems like.
No, yeah. Even like for just school, you don't really see a lot of people going up there. I think that's also a Scranton area school. They're
like Wilkes-Barre, yeah.
Yeah, they're close to Misericordia, I think. I think they're in the same conference, actually. But yeah, it's kind of a a different one. It's kind of cool to see.
Yeah, and Troy had a huge year for Chichester. There will always be people out there that will talk about Chichester just in terms of like the competition they face. But like he did it against everybody. I saw him hit it, the PBR facility one time, and really, once these guys get to go out and play like the travel teams and stuff, that's when they really get to like show off their skills. Like I know that the Del Valle baseball leaves a lot to be desired, but that's why Chichester played so many like out of conference games to be able to get that.
Themselves.
Yeah, it's like, with the way the system works, they're always going to be, the butt of the jokes with Interborough because they're going to run their conference, their conference. They're going to get a high seed in districts, and if they lose a game, then it's just like an easy target.
Yeah, I mean, in their defense, I think having played, we scheduled Chichester and Interborough every year pretty much. And they're legit teams. I mean, I know Interborough beat us one point. Chichester gave us usually gave us good games. And I feel like it's one of those things where usually you win that conference, get the 1 seed, and just get like a really tough matchup. Yeah. So sometimes it's a toss up there. But.
Yeah. All right. Last but not least here, we saved this one for you. Brandon Dunbar from Haverford School is going to Elizabethtown. As an alum, give me your thoughts here.
Listen, we need more Blue Jays from Delco. That's all I need to say. Shout out his brother Tyler. He played with me at when I was there. Great pitcher. Was probably our ace for like 2 or 3 years. So, hopefully keeping the family legacy going. But yeah, hopefully he's the first of many to start going out to E-Town.
I mean, there's nothing I love more than seeing siblings go to the same school.
Oh, yeah.
Especially when they get to play with each other. Obviously, that's not the case here with Brandon and Tyler. But guys that have been teammates like their whole lives. When they play like school ball, if they're in the same age range, going to the same school. And I'm sure as a head coach, like you just have to be thanking the parents. Like I always think back, there's on Garnet Valley, I don't think there were many baseball players, but the Lassick family, there was like 9 of them. And I don't know how many were boys, but I felt like I know they played baseball, not as much baseball, sorry. I know they played football and they played hockey. And since I played hockey, I would see all the Lassicks, and it's like the last 15 years, I feel like every time I watched a Garnet Valley football game, there was a Lassick. I'm like, what? Like, how do they keep pumping them out? But
the hockey game's got a full line.
Yeah. The defensive pairing of the Lassicks, No, but it's cool seeing the brothers follow in the footsteps. Shout out the Berman family when Alex and Ben went to Susky, and then they won the conference championship together there. I think they were hitting 3 and 4 in the lineup when they did.
They were. I played against them.
Yeah. I'm guessing it didn't go very well.
We got killed.
Yeah.
Actually, we got swept, but there were close games, I think.
Hey, competitive. That's all that matters. Yeah.
We'll count it.
Yeah. All right. I'm sure we missed some commitments. We're doing our best to keep up. If you're listening, feel free to tag us in any post of your commitment. Send us a DM. We'll make the graphic, whatever it has to do, because I usually just rely on like other people posting them on their stories, or like seeing them come across like Twitter and stuff, of when people commit to schools. All right, let's move on. Top 10 moments of the Delco baseball season here. It was a great year. I mean, I'm not just saying that as an honorable mention for myself for a club baseball national championship that unfortunately did not quite crack the top 10. I felt like that would be an unfortunate look.
Nominating yourself.
Yeah. Hey, listen, I'll put it at 11. But at the end of the day, we had a lot of cool stuff this year, so I'll let you get started on number 10 here.
Yeah, I would say we've had about, for the first year of really like covering everything, we had about as good of a year.
Oh yeah, I mean, we'll talk about some of the cool places we got to go, but I mean, just in terms of content, like we owe these guys a lot of a lot of credit for being able to help us, attract
Thank you for being
eyes.
Good.
Yeah, thanks for being good at baseball. We really appreciate it.
But yeah, all right. So we'll start with number 10 here. So that's going to be Cole Palace, Reed Farrell, and the Penn Quakers making it to a regional title game at Auburn against Southern Miss. They beat Auburn and Sanford to get to the final game or games against Southern Miss. Unfortunately, lost both to a very good team, arguably. Yeah. But just really cool to see. I think it's been a while since we've really seen a lot of Delco guys really make a run like that.
Yeah, I mean, outside of the Chris Newell Virginia team, they're really I can't think of the last Delco in Omaha type thing, which is something where I want to. I don't know if you've been there. I've never been to Omaha.
It's on my bucket list.
I would like to ideally, I would like to save it until someone from a Delco team makes it. But at some point, we just have to pull the trigger and go.
East Carolina.
East Carolina, that's the hope. And especially if that's their first ever Omaha trip.
Oh, my God.
Because they've gotten so close so many times.
I don't even know if
They made a super regional.
They made a super regional? Okay.
Yeah. But, yeah, I mean, Omaha has its own, special lore.
That's its own thing.
I mean, obviously, Reed was a freshman catcher. Hard to get playing time there. But as, I can attest to, like, just being on the team means a lot. And, everybody has their opportunity to contribute in some different ways. But, I mean, Cole was a starter. He was, I think, their leadoff hitter for most of the season.
Yeah.
He hit at the top of the order. Great defensive player. Great, spraying the ball hitter. And obviously it's going to sting that they lost the regional. But, like, going into Auburn, I remember that because it was the Friday night and it was an extra inning game.
Yeah, I remember watching it and seeing Cole Palace come up and
Springfield Colonial.
Like another guy. I had to pitch them at some point. That was
Springfield Colonial. Yeah. I mean, that was special to watch. Anytime you can see the guys on ESPN, and, it's pretty rare that, like I said, we get the Delco to Omaha. But with that being said, it's been pretty common lately to get guys in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah,
I mean,
definitely.
We've had, Josh Hankins hit a homer at East Carolina against Coastal in that one regional 2 years ago. We had, who else we have? We had Kobe McNeely and Ryder. They were in the tournament last year. Tom Kane and Maryland were definitely in it this year. I'm sure I'm forgetting somebody off the top of my head, but we, got the opportunity to follow some of these guys around as they went.
Speaking of Josh, he's up at Gonzaga now.
Zags,
another really good team, so you could see them again.
Yeah, no, we'll do a full college baseball preview where our guys are playing. For right now, we'll move on to number 9. We have the Broomall Newtown Babe Ruth team. They made both the 14 and 15-year-old World Series. We had some of the guys from the 14-year-old team on the show. That was Ryan Stoneman, Johnny Dugan, and Kevin Weigo, whose brother Jim was a Marple guy and played at Monmouth. I mean, sending 2 teams to a World Series, I mean, just as a program, like, how good do you think that feels to be able to say that?
Insane. Like, most towns are lucky to have one in, like, a generation. They've got 2 in the same year, back-to-back age groups. I know if you're Marple Newtown, you're probably just drooling, like, waiting for these guys to get up here and go take another shot at state title, probably.
Yeah, it's a great foreshadow. I mean, because the team from Broomall Newtown that won the Babe Ruth World Series, that was a team with, like, Alden, right? Like, I think Luke Zimmerman was on that team, like Jim White. Like, I think Chris Newell was on that team, too. Really? And I'm pretty sure he was, yeah. And, we really got into this thinking that it was mostly going to be about high school baseball. But the more we got into it, the more we realized we're just here for the best baseball. Whatever the best in the area is, whether that be, Little League, Delco League, Phillies, like whatever we can find, whatever's the hottest news around the town.
Yeah, much. I think like we really this whole year shows like the real quality of baseball in this area.
Yeah, and I don't know, it's cool. Like I feel like down the road, we're gonna look, 5-6 years from now and see like Austin Crowley committing to college and be like, hey, like. We had him 5 years ago, like in the spotlight, and we kind of follow along with these guys' careers here. Speaking of very good baseball, you got number 8 for us here.
Yeah, this is, in terms of high school baseball in the area, probably the best. But we got Malvern Prep winning yet another state title. I can't even imagine how many that is now, but they went through Episcopal, Penn Charter, and the Perkiomen School. Perkiomen?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a tough one. But, and went through the Perkiomen School, won 6-5 in the title game. So there's no Interact playoffs, but every team does make the final state tournament. And Malvern ran the table.
Yeah. According to their Twitter bio, so their first state title listed is 2006. Okay. They won in 06, 09, 12, 14, 15, 17, 18, 19, and 23. Keep in mind, 2020 didn't happen as well. In 2022, they lost to the Haverford School. I remember that game. But, yeah, I mean, it's weird because it's not technically Delco, but, like, the head coach, Freddie Hilliard, went to Upper Darby. Mm-hmm. They got Delco guys all over the board. Tim Dickinson we played against in the Delco League this year. Brady Abate. Like, they got all these guys that are from the area. And it's weird because, like, when you think of football and you think of the team that wins the state title every year, St. Joe's Prep, everybody hates them because they recruit, right? Malvern obviously recruits, but, like, so does every other team they play.
Yeah, so I think it's the fact that they're in the other classifications.
Exactly, yeah.
And
it's like, I have nothing but respect for them. I know some people don't like them because, they steal all the best players, but it's just like, we would all being the best school. Yeah, we would all play for them if we were good enough. That's just the reality. Obviously, some guys from Delco want to stay in Delco, Haverford School Bond or EA. Like, I totally get it.
Yeah.
Completely understand. But just in terms of what they've built, the alumni, I mean, it's like they get someone drafted every year. It feels like.
Yeah, it's they just have a pipeline to high level D1 professional. It's really just an incredible program.
Yeah, I've DM'd with Freddie before. We need to get him on the show.
100%.
You know, a guy played in the Delco League as well. I feel like he told me he played at Temple before it got shut down, but I could be making that up.
Okay.
I feel like that's what I saw. But either way, I know he works for the Bell Ringers as well. I'm sure I could find him in there. But yeah, Malvern Prep, I wasn't sure where to put them on the list because they're not technically Delco, but it is a state title is a state title, and they're Delco guys carrying the load as well. But
Big respect to those guys.
yeah, we'll move on to number 7 here, and this is another controversial: is it Delco or not? But Wayne, we won our 19th Delco League title this year. We took down Upper Darby. I know someone that plays for Upper Darby as well.
Yeah, let's just make me relive it again.
I'm gonna make you relive it because it was a great series.
Yeah, no, it was.
Because we went up 2-0, then you guys stormed back to tie it, and all of a sudden we're like, all right, game 5, second year in a row, and second year in a row, the difference was that Cam Mathis throws baseballs hard like that. You could argue over the last 2 years that's been the biggest difference between our two teams.
Yeah, he's really been kind of the. And we've had a lot kind of to get to those. We've had the thing of Johnny Gonzalez being the game breaker, and then we get there and we face Cam, and it's kind of the same story. But, you know, and it's just an incredible pitcher.
Yeah. I mean, I think according to Nick DeCombe, he's the first ever back-to-back finals MVP, which for a league that's been going around since 1908, it's kind of crazy that that's never happened, for especially for like some teams that have had those stretches of dominance.
I'm surprised with how consistently Wayne's been winning titles that they haven't had one before.
I was thinking the same thing. But yeah, I mean the whole Mathis family. It was so cool to be able to see all three of them get to play together, especially because of their age difference. This is the only league that you can do that. Yeah. Because Cam graduated high school in 2017 and Owen graduated in 2022. So at what level are you going to play with your brother who's 5 years younger than you? Besides the Delco League, right? There's no point time in Little League, Babe Ruth, like whatever, that you're going to be able to do that. So to be able to see Owen, Alden, and Cam all in the same field and just, see them from, I mean, a lot of the time, like when Cam would pitch, all three of them were in the field because Alden would be in center and Owen would be at third. So to see them, be able to play together in what could be the last time, because hopefully Alden's playing, somewhere even higher this summer. But that was definitely special to be a part of that. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, I think that's one of the cool things about Delco baseball is you get just like so many generations of players on the same field. And
that's why the Delco League's special, because, it's, you're playing against guys that you grew up like watching. Like Kevin Mahalan was, the prodigy at Strathaven. He's like one of the best players that the program has ever seen. And, I got to play against him when my whole life I'm like watching him at Media Little League hit 30 homers a year, while I'm like 4 or 5 years younger. And then all of a sudden it's like, I'm playing second base and he's on second base. I'm like, this is so bizarre to be able to come full circle like that. But yeah, no, that was a special year, and hopefully we can go for number 20 next year. We'll see. We'll see.
Not.
We'll see. All right, you got number 6 here, and this one's very meaningful as a Springfield guy.
Oh yeah, then this was a really awesome. I mean, I guess this was kind of my first game out for any of the high school games this year. It was the Springfield Garnet Valley game. They honored AJ Grandy before the game. Obviously, he was tragically passed away due to cancer. But they honored him and got a win in the really incredible game against Garnet Valley. Really cool kind of tidbit from it was the final score was 6-5, which you add that together was AJ's number. I think you managed to point that out.
Yeah, I think the Springfield Twitter account told me that, but that's just one of those like, when Tyler Skaggs passed away, they threw the no-hitter. When Jose Fernandez passed away, D. Gordon hit the homer. That was just like the, it's not a coincidence. Put it like that.
It was a pretty special day. It was definitely.
The Springfield community needed it. They needed the win. Yeah. Drew Van Horn, another Wayne guy, hit 2 home runs for Garnet Valley. He did not want the community to heal.
No, he
come on, Drew.
Yeah, did not care about that. But
that was special. Because you could tell how much it meant to them. I've always wanted to do some type of like story, but I always felt like it was too soon. Like for the family to want to talk about it. I think Cody still plays. Doesn't he play for that? I think he plays for the team that Mark and Mike at Motive train, like the Rowan Cumberland County
yeah,
team.
RC.
Yeah, I'm gonna look it up, and I'm reasonably sure that he still plays because I remember seeing something where he was doing really well, either like last spring or the spring after. Is it Grandy or Grande? I always thought it was Grande, just because like Ariana. I have no idea. You're the Springfield guy, so I'll defer to you. But either way, let's see.
I've heard both. That's
yeah, yeah. But I mean, either way, I think that I hope Cody was able to make the game. Be able to make it to that Springfield game. But to get that win, new field, new vibes, definitely meant a lot.
It was really, really awesome day.
All right, we've hit the top 5 here. So we're going to talk about Jim Haley because Jim Haley did what all of us have dreamed to do growing up in Delco, and he got to play a game for the Phillies. So he got to, he spent most of his minor league career, I think all of it, with Tampa Bay after graduating from Bonner and Penn State. And he got the opportunity to sign with the Phillies, got to wear the Phillies jersey, got to play with the Phillies in spring training. I think he was in AAA this year.
Yeah, he was with the Iron Pigs.
I hope he gets to make his MLB debut with the Phillies. I feel like just, being able to, even if it's one game, your cup of coffee in the big leagues, right? Like just getting to play for the Phillies would be the dream.
Yeah, I would love nothing more than to see that. Even, like you said, it was like a cup of coffee, kind of like what the Wilson kind of did in the end of the summer. Just to be up there, I think he's grinded for so long in the minor leagues and has done very well. I know he was an everyday guy for the Iron Pigs. He was an everyday guy in Tampa's system. It would be kind of like storybook to really see him make it and get to hopefully have his debut in the bank. It's
just so unfortunate that he's been at 2 systems where first off, the Rays are a stacked farm system always.
Oh my God.
So that's always hard to crack. But the Phillies, like in terms of infield, you just look at he signs here. All right, well you got, I think he just plays all around the infield. So it's like at first base, you got Harper. At the time you had Hoskins to beat out. Third base, unfortunately, you're not getting over Bohm in the depth chart.
I will say I'll further the for the sake of him getting up, I'll just kind of push the Alec Bohm is overrated thing.
Yeah, we'll get
not
on that
I
train.
actually believe that, but just for the sake of us.
That's a conversation for another day.
Yeah.
Hey, he's having his breakout this year, right? At age 28, he's gonna every year it's the Alec Bohm breakout is coming. I think so, yeah, because he was a college guy too. So
I thought he was 25.
Yeah, I think we've all thought that for a little while, unfortunately. But yeah, I mean, I have put some feelers out to try and get him on the show. Jim Haley, not Alec Bohm, Jim Haley. But I think that I think Jim Haley's somewhere in his late 20s, maybe early 30s. At the very least, I hope it could be like a Drew Maggi thing where he goes to a team that's not doing very well. It's just like to get his chance, go to I don't know, the A's or someone else that
Nah, it should be with the Phillies.
That's what
it should be with the Phillies.
Let's just break some kneecaps and.
Well, let's not do that.
Not Bryce.
No, probably not anyone. That might not be let's not attack Phillies, but
to get we're doing it for Delco.
We'll subtly push the Alec Bohm overrated narrative and just stick with that.
I'm on board with that.
Yeah.
All right, you got number 4, and you were at this game, so that'll help.
This was another just unbelievable game I saw. We got the Chris Sabito 18 strikeout game against Council Rock South. There's certain times you see a pitcher where it's just he's got it, and that was one of those days. He just was so locked in, and it was just a kind of consistent 2-seam slider type thing, and they were hopeless.
Yeah, I've never faced him before. I'm very grateful for that. But, 18 strikeouts, especially in a 7-inning game where it's 21 outs, not 27 outs, is absurd. And just to show, how much that meant for Upper Darby as a program, they hadn't won a playoff game, I think it was since, the early 2000s. I don't think they'd been in one in over a decade.
Yeah, it had been, we looked at it before. It was 2012, 2010, something
I think
they
made one around then, and they hadn't won one.
Yeah,
since a lot before that. That's what now Ridley coach Tom Carey, at the time Upper Darby coach, was telling me. But no, that was special for that program because when you look at a guy like Zupito with the talent he has, he's at NC State now. He could have left Upper Darby and nobody would have blamed him, right? He could have gone to Bonner, he could have gone to Haverford, EA, Malvern, whatever. Obviously, he had the talent to do so. Mm-hmm. But as he said, after the game and stuff, was it hey, I wanted to build this program up with the guys that I grew up playing with and get to this point. And, that was that performance was a culmination of, a decade's worth of work, preparing to get to that moment and building that program up to try and leave it better than you found it.
Yeah, that was a very deserved win for them. It was cool to see, because they had been struggling for a really long time, and it was cool to see them get kind of a really talented class like they had. I think most of their starting lineup was seniors, but for them to stick with it through all 4 years and finally come out and get a playoff win, especially in a game like that, it was really awesome to see.
Yeah. All right, we'll move on to number 3 here. We're going to stay in the high school playoffs because we had Bonner and Strathaven both make it to the state semifinals. I really wish that somehow they could have ended up playing each other because I just wanted to see how the Alex Pock, Kevin McGonigal matchup would have gone, just because, like, McGonigal hit everybody and nobody hit Pock. So it's like one of those, like, hey, like, unstoppable force meets an immovable object, right? Like, what's going to happen? But yeah, I mean, that was a special run for both of them because, Strathaven had never even won a state playoff game ever going into this run. So once they won the district, they beat, I was at that game. I'm completely blanking on the team they beat at Newman, but they beat them like 10-0.
Oh, it was Lower Dolphin?
Yes, yeah. That's right. Then after that, it was the Selinsgrove game where we didn't go because like it was the smoke in the air, remember? Yeah. And it was just like, I can't even believe they played the game. Like my idea, like my mentality was, I'm not driving an hour and a half to barely breathe and then like
just suffocate.
Well, especially when Game Changer was streaming it.
Oh, they have I think both teams, because Bonner and Strathaven both played that day, and they both had video.
Yep. So they beat Selinsgrove. Greencastle Antrim, we were able to be at that game. That was in Fredericksburg. Alex Pock threw a gem in that game, ended up being under the lights, which is really cool. It was I think a 2-0 win. He was marvelous on the mound. And then we'll get to the other state semifinal game where Bonner played Shaler, and we were introduced to Miguel Hugas.
Beast. That entire Shaler team was just they were really good.
6'3" switch hitting Venezuelan pitcher and center fielder. Probably threw somewhere in like the 90s, low 90s, whatever.
You don't find many of them.
Yeah. Special season for Bonner as well. I mean, obviously, Kevin McGonigal being able to like just finish off his high school career with another great year, another state semifinal run. Obviously not the way that, any of them wanted the season to end. But, now I feel like we're far enough away that you can kind of take a step back and be like, hey, like we've made 3 state semifinals in a row. Not many programs get to say that. Beat the 2-time defending state champ, Bethel Park, on their way there. And the roster's like, listen, losing a first-round pick is always going to hurt, but like you got Irv back, Austin Cannon's back, Corey Sheridan, transferred, Harry Carr, Jackson Keogh. Like it's basically running it back without him and like him and Brian Henry were like the two. Yeah, off the top of my head. I think
they've almost gotten deeper, and like those guys who were there before have another year of experience. They're going to be. Honestly, I think just as good, if not better. And like you said, we'll get into our high school stuff. But.
So Bonner lost to Shaler. Strathaven beat Greencastle Antrim. So Strathaven took on Shaler at Penn State's field. We won't go too much into this game because it was a heartbreaking end. But Strathaven had the early lead. Shaler stormed back. Miguel Hugas hit 2 homers. Like Strathaven could have won that game, but the better team did win, which is some consolation. That entire lineup for Shaler was like going to play college baseball. And at the time of that game, nobody on Strathaven was committed to a school yet.
Yeah. And that's, it was weird. I feel like it was one of those things where they just kind of got hot and you weren't able to stop them. I mean, Miguel Hugas hitting 2 home runs helps.
And a field that had major league dimensions. That field is based off of PNC Park in Pittsburgh.
Those weren't cheap ones. Those were bombs.
No. But, 2 Delco teams in state semis, now that I think this whole reclassification system helped our area more than anybody because we had all these teams that were stuck in the biggest, in the 4A bracket. So, like, you'd have a school like Strathaven be the 1 seed. Then, number 19, North Penn comes in with 1,200 kids per grade and kicks their ass. And then all of a sudden it's just like, we're doing the best we can. But the 6, we've only had 1 Delco school win a PIAA championship. It was Marple in 2018. So that's
more to come, though.
I do think that more to come. But all right, we'll move on to number 2 here. We're going to stick with the high school theme here. And Bonner, what do you got?
Number 2, we got our draft picks, highlighted by Kevin McGonigal getting drafted in the first round by the Tigers. But including that, we had a few more. Chris Clark went in the 5th to the Angels, Ethan Pecco in the 6th to the Astros, and Tom Kane in the 19th to the Giants. I think that we were saying that was one of the higher amounts of guys we've had drafted in the year.
I don't remember 4. I know last year was 3 with Chris Newell, Nate Furman, and then Alden Mathis. But I mean, just seeing 4 and having all 4 sign is awesome. So obviously, Kevin, first Delco Baseball first-round pick since Ben Davis in the 90s. First-round pick. Ben went second, I think. But yeah, I mean, it was a special night. I mean, you saw from that watch party video, there were like 100 people in his living room or basement or whatever, and just seeing the Bonner community come together. And just being able to follow him since he kind of burst onto the scene. I mean, the first I ever heard about him was when he committed to Auburn, and I think that might have been before he even played a varsity game because of COVID. So I kind of I heard this kid commit to Auburn. Never really saw much of him before. But then all of a sudden he's playing in like the perfect game stuff. He's playing for Canes or whatever like the travel teams are. Playing in the All-American game. Like he played for Team USA, all this stuff, and to see that all come together, by hearing his name called, also by Raul Ibanez, which is in our intro as well, former Phil, getting to do that as well.
I forgot it was Raul Ibanez.
I was, yeah, because he's like in something with the front office
in
Major League Baseball, not just for Major League Baseball, yeah, something like the commissioner's office. But that's
pretty cool.
But yeah, saw Kevin at Ascent, was getting ready for the season. It's funny, my road to the show players on the Tigers, so I kind of know some like the farm system teams, but I think it starts you in Double-A for that. So I'm pretty sure
they don't have the single A in there.
I'm pretty sure there's one that is in Michigan, but I know Double-A is the Erie Seawolves. That's where I started. So
I thought it was the Seawolves and Toledo Mudhens.
Let's see. So all right. So Single A, where he was last year, was the Lakeland Flying Tigers. That's where he kind of got called up at the end of the year.
What is a flying tiger?
Tiger with wings, I guess.
I would assume like if it's Lakeland, Florida, I just kind of assumed it was like a fish, but
I don't know. I think it's just I don't know why it's the Flying Tigers.
Yeah,
Tigers can't really fly unless you hit a ball so high that it does. So assuming that's probably where he'll start. If he gets called up to High A, the West Michigan Whitecaps.
Cool. Oh, I like that. That's a nice name.
Erie Seawolves, which it's in PA, but it could not be in a more further away part. Like it's enough that a road trip could happen, but that's a tough. That's like 7 hours going. Northwest PA, southeast PA.
That's one of those where maybe we may as well just do the East Carolina.
Yeah. Toledo Mudhens is AAA as well.
Oh, I nailed that. Let's go.
So I mean, I guess the ceiling you would hope is maybe makes up to Double-A. I mean, he's only 18 or 19, so you just hope High A would be a good spot for him.
Yeah, it's a good year. Yeah. I think a good year is all you really hope for.
But we'll keep moving on here. Chris Clark was a Harvard guy. He went to the Haverford School, and he was drafted in the 5th round by the Angels. And honestly, the fit doesn't surprise me here because they're the same team that drafted Ben Joyce. Like they like the big guys that throw hard, and it's kind of like the we'll take care of the rest type of thing.
Yeah, so definitely like. Get a little velo in there and just kind of let that play out.
Yeah, I would see him train at On Deck, RIP, On Deck, with his pitching coach. I think his name is, he follows us on Twitter, Steve. It's like Schneck or like Shank, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, so he was, and it was interesting hearing him talk about it because the guy was basically giving Christie advice on how to basically to get drafted. Like obviously your goal as a college pitcher is to to win games and help your team and all that, but he was like you need to be at like this metric for this if you want to get picked, like this for this, and that's just like the way that tracking data has gone. But
that's kind of how it is now. You got
biggest question for him is whether they want him as a starter reliever. I mean, he hit 98 at the combine, so I have no idea, but I'm sure. I mean, at the end of the day, most relievers are kind of guys that either couldn't start or were just like their stuff was better suited for the pen. But,
I think that remains to be seen. They'll probably get a shot to do both, I would imagine.
All right, first player I've ever coached to get drafted was Ethan Pecco. I coached him in Legion for Nether back in the day. He got drafted by the Houston Astros. He's a Ridley guy, went to Towson for his college. I wasn't necessarily surprised he got picked, but truthfully, I was a bit surprised it was in the 6th round because he's been battling with some injuries in his time in college, and he got the opportunity at Towson to be one of their weekend starters, and he had a great year. ERA was in the 3s, fastball was in the mid-90s, and I think for him, teams are banking on the fact that if he stays healthy, like he has the ability just to be like a solid starter.
Yeah,
he's got a lot of good stuff.
And from what you said, like that. Clearly plays. Yeah,
just a reliable guy, which was a bit of a different philosophy with our last draft pick here, which was Tom Kane. picked in the 19th round out of Maryland. He got picked by the Giants. He's a Cardinal O'Hara guy, and he is one of those, what I like to call like the late round flyers. You know, like he's a guy who, like, truthfully, and he'll probably be the one to tell you this as well, in terms of statistics, his numbers weren't great this year. But he's a lefty that throws a sinker in like the mid 90s. You know, he has the stuff that a team believes like you can't be taught. Yeah. You know, and as a pitcher, like, how do you feel about, you know, the argument versus like more polished versus more raw?
I think it can go either way. I mean, like, if you have obviously, like, the raw numbers are what's going to get you picked. If you're polished and you throw 84, 86, you're not playing professional baseball. That's just how it is. Yeah. But, like, because the margin of error is so small when you're throwing lower, or slower. But, like, yeah, if you're a lefty throwing mid-90s sinkers, like, someone can do something with that, or someone can see, a professional coach is going to be like, yeah, I can probably turn that guy into a good pitcher. And these are, I mean, obviously you already have to be a very good pitcher to get drafted, but
in the 19th round, it's worth that, you know, that opportunity to go a little high upside. But all right, well, we've reached our number one Delco Baseball moment of the year, and I don't think there's any surprise here.
Nope.
Trevor Skorotic, walk-off home run, sending media to the Little League World Series. I mean, just, you know, being there was special as well, but the fact that, you know, just the walk-off homer, the fact that they've been going the whole summer without their, you know, one of their best players, Chase D'Ambrosio. I mean, just in that moment, it was a winner-take-all game, extras. They hadn't, I think that was their first hit of the entire game, was that walk-off homer. And, you know, it's also in our intro, you can hear the broadcaster talking about how they kind of like pitched around Austin Crowley. And like, great job not letting, you know, their best player beat you. And like the second he finished saying that, there was the crack of the bat. But, you know, when we talked to Tommy Bradley on the show, he was basically talking about, like, it was like all summer was like the job's not finished. And then once they, you know, won that game to get to Williamsport, he was kind of like, I'm not saying like the job is truly finished, but like the job was to get to the Little League World Series. And, you know, that moment, I just wish it was a night game because all the bars in Delco would have gone nuts. It was at like 3:00.
Yeah, that was a tough. Usually that like Mid-Atlantic one's a later start time, but I guess because they've added the new regions and everything, it's a little different. But that was just such an awesome moment, and then to be able to like kind of get to the World Series and just enjoy that whole process is awesome.
And I mean, we really could have filled this list with 10 just media moments. I mean, not to mention winning the state championship, not only for the first time since 1957 for media, but to do it in Delco. Yeah, and it's only in District 19. It's only in section, whatever we are, section 3, I think, or section 8. I don't even remember. I think it's section 8. Once every 8 years, it's even in this section, which doesn't even mean Delco. It just means, just in this section of PA. We won't have another opportunity like that for a long time to be able to see a team do what they did. I mean, that state championship game, there were multiple thousand of people there. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah, it was packed out.
And which was kind of funny going to regionals then where it was not nearly as crowded. Like they went from the outfields being packed, like all that, to like just not the really people that made it up to Bristol. But yeah, I mean, you could bring so many things. I mean, the time they scored 10 runs in the inning in regionals against DC, a time where they hit, I think, 6 home runs in one of the games at States. I mean, just even going back to them beating Aston Middletown. Like that was the team that beat them 2 years in a row. And they finally, hit their growth spurts and got revenge over them, which is pretty much like, at the end of the day, their first goal was just to beat them. Mm-hmm. Like that was, the team that had been featured on some like ESPN Road to Williamsport thing before the season. And, to be able to go out and take care of them and then pretty much just run the table for the most part. I don't think they lost a single game in the state of Pennsylvania.
No.
Well, I guess outside of Williamsport. That doesn't count. Oh, we're talking about in the state, up until they won states.
Until Williamsport. They didn't lose in regionals, did they?
Because they did not lose in districts. I don't think they lost in sectionals. They didn't lose in regionals either. Because people were mad that they were 2-0 and could have been knocked out had they just won that game. Yeah, so I don't think they lost until the first game of Williamsport.
Yeah, Texas team.
Yeah. Special year. It would be pretty tough to top that in 2024. Just what from top to bottom. All levels of baseball, what we were able to see was definitely very special. Mm-hmm. Notice how there are no Phillies moments here, because technically not Delco, but mostly because anytime I think of the Phillies season, I get very sad.
They can crack the top 10 when they win a ring.
Yeah, come on. Like, well, honestly, it's not even that. It's the way that they lost.
Yeah, it was
like
brutal.
if they had just played two like hard fought games with the Diamondbacks, like both teams played well, like they lose like 5-4, like nobody messes up, you could, maybe begin to start forgiving them. But to have their best players go like 0 for 40 in the last two games is like, I can't even enjoy what they did to the Braves for the second straight year, because every time I do, I'm like, well, what did they do after that?
Yeah,
like,
what
I can't even
happened?
appreciate it. Braves fans are probably happier with how the season ended than we were.
I can't imagine the Braves fans are happy with how the season, given like how historic they were.
That's reasonable.
And I was just like, I feel like that was one of those ones that you could just see from a mile away happening, where you're just historic season and just.
If we beat them again,
Oh,
we have to run into the Dodgers this time.
Hey, they also have the
yeah.
same problem as the Braves.
Yeah, well, so we got into our Phillies talk here. We're going to talk about the offseason and things like that, but I want to start off with the Hall of Fame, because as of right now, Jimmy Rollins, Chase Utley, and Bobby Abreu are on the ballot. I hate to be this guy's a Phillies fan. I don't think any of them should make it. I truly don't. Like, as much as I love these guys, like, when I think of all three of them, I think Phillies Hall of Fame, retire their numbers, Wall of Fame, everything. But in terms of Major League Baseball, like, I saw a stat that Jimmy Rollins, so he won the MVP in 07. He was never top 15 in voting any other year. Like, when I think of the Hall of Fame, I think of people that were like, dominating the game. They had higher peaks. Like, he's the Phillies all-time hit leader.
Yeah.
He's a World Series champ. He was the heart of that team. But it's just like, when you look at the numbers and other people that have been left out, like, I just don't see it. If he gets in, awesome. Would love to see it. I just don't see it.
Yeah, that's fair. I would say I could see him getting in. I'm a big proponent of, like, the MLB Hall of Fame they're kind of like pricks. They don't I don't know why they have, like, such a high standard of everything. Like, these are all some of the best players ever play the game. You're never going to hear some of their names again just because they're like, oh, well, they don't have, like...
Yeah, I don't. Chase Utley, I would say, has a good shot just because power hitting second baseman.
Yeah.
What's the line from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia? It's like, power hitting second baseman. Like, do you know how rare that is in the National League or something?
Let's get back to this player selection conversation, okay? Because I got some thoughts.
Yeah, I've been thinking about it.
Yeah.
Ryan Howard, right? What?
Look, if it's me, I'm going Chase Utley 100% of the time. He's a power-hitting second baseman. Do you know how rare that is in the National League?
Well, yeah, and he's hot, which is like number
course
one on
he
my
is.
list. But I really like Ryan Howard.
Now, you're kissing Chase Utley, and that's it.
Yeah, I mean, it's true. It's like, I think Utley has the best chance because he had, first off, the most home runs in a World Series ever. I believe him and George Springer, I think it was. And in the World Series, we lost to the Yankees.
Oh, yeah.
Higher peak. Never won an MVP. But I don't know. I just think that all three of these guys, like, it's a cliche, but I think they're just in, like, the Hall of Very Good. And I always hate that using that term, but it's just like they're, I won't be heartbroken if they don't make it.
Yeah,
I won't feel like they got robbed.
It'd be a shame to not see someone from that. I guess
Ryan Howard would have if he didn't get hurt.
Yeah.
He would have hit 500 home runs if he didn't get hurt.
It would be a shame to see someone from that, like, not see someone from that 08 team make it in, because they were just incredible. I feel like
It just, if they had won one more.
Yeah.
Like 2009, the Yankees were better than them. That's just a fact.
Yep.
2010, they should have beat the Giants. 2011,
should have beat
the Cardinals were just playing with devil's magic. And then obviously the 2012 cliff, they just completely just dropped off the face of the earth. But if they had won another ring in that stretch, I think, you would have had to consider it. But I mean, I can't wait. I don't think anyone should ever wear 6, 11, or 26 for the Phillies. Those numbers. It's weird because I think the Phillies had like a policy where unless you're in the MLB Hall of Fame, your number can't be retired. I feel like that's something they do.
I'm trying to think of the numbers they have retired.
Like Schmidt, Carlton, or
Halladay.
I guess Halladay's different because, like, he passed away, right? Like, his number's retired for us.
Well, he's also in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah. I was, but like his Phillies career wasn't too long. All right, let's see what we got here. All right, so I guess we can move into just talking about the offseason. I mean, the big thing was signing Aaron Nola to a 7-year, $172 million deal. I was very, vocal about the fact that I wouldn't have given him too big of a deal, but I feel like this was a good deal for everybody.
Yeah, that's fine. I think he also said he took less money to stay with the Phillies, which was pretty awesome. But But yeah, 7 years, 172. That's probably what you're going to have to pay for Aaron Nola.
Yeah. And it was one of those, like, grass is always greener. Like, you can say, oh, let him walk, like, whatever, go to the Braves or Dodgers. But then you look out there and it's like, you know, I don't think enough people talk about the durability. Like, he is throwing over 200 innings every year. He's always going to be, you know, like, solid. Like, yeah, the home runs suck. But, like, I feel like some years that's kind of fluky. Like, he's been up and down in terms of, like, dominant to, like, very solid. You know, that kind of fluctuates a little bit. But, you know, I mean, I would not, you know, the Phillies would be a worse team if they replaced him with, like, Sonny Gray or, like, Marcus Stroman. You know, like, Blake Snell has some question marks when he'll only give you, like, 5 or 6 innings, right?
And even he's last year was great, but that was the best year of his career.
Yeah.
Like, it's...
I'm happy they got him. I think it's a very reasonable deal for both sides. And, you know, he's going to end up being statistically one of the best pitchers to ever play here.
Yeah.
Out of longevity as well. Other than that, they haven't really done much yet, which doesn't mean that they're not going to. But I also think that, you know, when you look at the big picture, like they won 90 games and made the NLCS when Harper wasn't really himself until like July or August. Turner was terrible until August. You know, like I think that kind of having like that run it back and let's just not choke this time mentality is very reasonable. I'm okay with that philosophy. I think that they should bring in one more starting pitcher, you know, because right now it's the same rotation as last year. Wheeler, Nola, Suarez, Walker, and Chris Sanchez, which is fine. Mm-hmm. I think that if they want to either bring in somebody else and then do like a 6-man thing, or if they want to bring someone else and, you know, move one of them to the pen, like it could come down to the fact that, you know, February rolls around and like, hey, like Jordan Montgomery, you know, isn't, you know, asking for as much as he thought, or Blake Snell's market isn't what he thought. Like, other than that, I think it's just going to be bullpen and outfield help.
Yeah, and they already have a team that can beat anyone in the league in a 7-5-3, whatever it may be. So it's like all the top end talents there. Like I feel like we've done almost the hard work. Now it's just patching up. So maybe your 4 starter in an NLCS isn't Christopher Sanchez. Maybe you can get someone more reliable out of the pen to throw, and that's with bullpens. It's weird. I think it's mostly just about getting guys with really good stuff in there and hoping it clicks. But yeah, I would like to see another starter. I think they did the 6-man a lot last year. I know they kind of worked around a lot of injuries, and I think for a regular season, a 6-man rotation is probably the best bet when you want to keep all your arms fresh. So that would be, I think, bullpen and like bench bat / left field.
Yeah.
If you don't believe in Rojas, is probably the priority. Outside of that, another starter would be nice, but it doesn't have to be like a blockbuster, like big name. I think if you can get a solid guy that you can trust to put out there anytime, and honestly, like Taijuan Walker and Christopher Sanchez are both solid, but you know, maybe someone a little bit better than them, because they also, like, while they are solid, they kind of are who they are. They're not going to give you that insane performance.
No, I agree. I think bullpen, I don't know about you, I would love to see Hector Neris back. Not as a closer, because obviously with, you know, he didn't have much success there, but I mean, he had a 1.7 ERA with Houston last year, won a World Series, obviously, against us. You know, I feel like he would be a huge middle, like, you know, 7th, 8th inning kind of guy for us. You know, he had the same WAR as Josh Hader last year, but he would be so much cheaper.
Oh, yeah.
You know, bring him home. The vibes would be great in the bullpen. I also, this one might be a bit unpopular because, first off, he's not a good person, and second of all, he's had some embarrassing moments, but I would take Aroldis Chapman. I would. He had an ERA of 3 last year. He's won 2 World Series, so like he's not obviously he's had some moments where, you know, like the Altuve homer and stuff like that, but like we're not relying on him to be a high leverage 9th inning guy. Like he's not going to be our closer.
Yeah, I think with the guys we have still, like, we're not going to ask too much out of him.
No. Jordan Hicks is another guy. We saw Jordan Hicks with the Cardinals. He has incredible stuff. I think he just, you know, was struggling to figure it out a little bit, but he's a free agent. I think he could be someone that it's just like it's like a flyer, you know?
Yeah.
Like, hey, like you throw over 100, we can figure that out. And help you with how to use the stuff in the right way, like with Jose Alvarado. I think it's worth a shot. I think at the very least bringing him into spring training and seeing what he can bring to the table. There's definitely some bullpen arms out there that could help contribute to the pen. I think the interesting question will be who the closer will be. It probably should be Alvarado because Kimbrel's a Baltimore Oriole now, but that's I don't think the bullpen's done yet.
No, they're gonna have to patch a couple holes in the bullpen because like no matter how much Kimbrel did or didn't suck, like there's a lot of innings that now you have to eat because he did throw a lot of innings for us. But I think for them a big thing is going to be like in the spring just naming a guy a closer and be like, you're the guy, you're gonna go out and do it. Don't really care if you do good or bad. Like you're the guy for I don't know. Like
don't make us change it.
Yeah, you maybe if it does go really wrong, you reevaluate in 2 months. But I think one of the issues with the Phillies bullpen is sometimes they don't really have set roles, and I think like mentally, if you know where you're going out, you can prepare better.
Jeff Hoffman closer. Let's start the way. No, he's better as like a put him in whenever you're in trouble.
Yeah, no, I mean Jeff Hoffman's I love him.
Yeah,
he's awesome in the pen.
Like with outside of Kimbrel, the bullpen carried us against the Braves. I mean, we won a bullpen game in Game 1 against the Braves. So I still believe in the arms that we have. Just getting rid of Kimbrel, get the dark clouds out from it. But I think outfield's a very interesting debate because outfield, like I still think that Johan Rojas can have a spot here eventually. Yeah. But if they go in to the season fully saying like, no, he'll be fine, I think that's very risky because we saw in the playoffs. I mean, he went like 4 for 40 something. Defensively it was great, but like you can't be batting 8 in a playoff game. Like he was almost an auto out. At the very least, give us some bunts or something. Like it was painful to watch. I think the best thing that they can probably do would be to bring in somebody else that can play the outfield. So like against lefties, you can have Rojas play, or you can have him. Pick up another guy that you can, at the very least, have him compete with. But, I mean, Cody Bellinger is the best outfielder left on the market. He's obviously not going to come at a cheap price tag. But, I mean, he can play center field. He's a lefty. He had a great year with the Cubs. The only issue are the few years before that were not good.
Yeah, no, but he kind of has the same thing as Blake Snell, where he's, he had that really good contract year, and now he's out for a free agency. And, like, he's a very good player. I think he's a very good player, but I don't know if you want to pay the price or if you can afford the price that he's going to command.
I mean, I heard that he wanted $700 and $200 million, which I am not touching whatsoever if that's the case.
Not at all.
Maybe try and convince him to do a short-term high annual salary.
You could do that.
But, another guy that I kind of had my eye on, just looking through the free agents, was Randall Grichuk, because apparently last year his OPS against lefties was .995. Nearly 1,000 OPS against lefties. So if you bring him in and kind of let him, get some starts in left field and move Brandon Marsh to center and let Rojas kind of start down in AAA and kind of get his feel back at the plate, I don't think that would be the worst idea. Because then if you decide that Rojas is the guy in center field, then you flip-flop him, and Grichuk's now the pinch hitter, where if you're down late in the game, you bring him in to face a lefty. Because as we saw with the Diamondbacks, they tried to punish us with lefties, at the top of the order. But if they want to be able to, navigate that a little bit, be able to have a guy like Grichuk off the bench. Same with Adam Duvall, another righty, just power bat that you could plug and play there. You wanted to talk about Yoshida a little bit, right?
Yeah. That was now I don't think anything really, there's no real connection between him and the Phillies right now, but besides the thing they named as Dog Harper. But yeah, apparently teams have kind of been asking about him or asking the Red Sox about him. I don't know if that's the Phillies or not, but if it was, I feel like that would be a good fit. I think the one thing and you're talking about Grichuk, Duvall, I would almost, if you're going to get an outfielder, have it be someone you can play every day.
Yeah.
And that also depends on how you feel about Rojas. If he takes that next step and he's able to hit major league pitching, because he had a terrible playoffs, but also given when he came up and what he kind of came into the major leagues to do, which was really just play while some guys were hurt, I think they kind of made him bite off a little bit more than he could chew at that time.
Yeah, he got thrown into the fire a little bit.
Yeah, and it didn't go well, but like it's also good experience. And if he seems like he's taking on, like he's seeing live pitching, he's gotten absolutely jacked.
Hey, listen, I'm fine giving him his chance. I just think that not having another backup plan would not.
Oh
be,
no,
would not be good.
You need a backup plan, but I think that's like if you don't believe in Rojas, you need a guy that can play every day.
Yeah. All right. Well, hopefully we get some more Phillies news soon. But there's been a lot going on in the rest of Major League Baseball since we recorded. And let's start with the $700 million deal that Shohei Ohtani got from the Dodgers. I remember I said to one of my coworkers that thought he was going to get 600, and I said that was crazy because I didn't think he would get over 500. Because
I didn't either.
Like I just thought that the fact that you're getting your second Tommy John surgery and you're not even going to be able to pitch this year, that someone wasn't going to put that type of investment because they didn't know. Like, don't get me wrong, he's still a top 5-10 hitter in the league, but like he's you're not getting $700 million for that. So I think the Dodgers are just banking on the fact that it's his brand will help pay for itself. There's no salary cap, and the way they deferred that contract is nuts.
That's got to be like money laundering.
Yeah,
I don't know what that. There's got to be something illegal there, but because they're paying him $680 after the at the end of the contract.
Oh, he's gonna have the best 40th birthday party of all time.
That's gonna be a bang.
Especially if he's retired at that point. Yeah, I mean, like, listen, I understand why the Dodgers did it. I mean, that, makes their window to win a World Series wide open for the next, as long as he can play.
Yeah.
They also signed Yoshi Yamamoto, 12-year, $325 million. I mean, they gave $1 billion to two players. And I feel like, I don't know if this is a hot take, in that 10-year span where they're together, I feel like only one World Series might be considered a disappointment.
Yeah, if you're spending $1 billion on two guys, you probably need a couple more. I did think the Yamamoto, I was surprised he got as much as he did, considering, well, yes, he's like a very good pitcher, incredible stuff. He has not thrown a major league inning.
Yeah, and like the balls are different in Japan. Apparently they all get like an extra day of rest in Japan than they do over here. Like he's 5'9", 175. Like I just think very risky. The 12-year part is the risky part for me.
Yeah.
And not as much as the money.
I mean,
part.
he is 20. He's really young. He's like 25.
Yeah.
So
we'll wait for Roki Sasaki instead.
Yeah, the two of those signings. Like the one with Ohtani is interesting because, I guess they must be pretty confident that he's going to be able to pitch again.
They have to be. Yeah.
Two Tommy Johns. I feel like at some point.
What if he's a closer?
Yeah, it might be. Like, even then, though, I feel like you only give that money if that dude's going to hit and start.
Yeah, agreed. Well, the Dodgers also got Tyler Glasnow and Manny Margot. I don't think necessarily Glasnow is overrated. I think he's just not like dependable. Like he hasn't thrown over 100 innings. I don't think ever in his career, maybe once. Like he gets hurt every single year, and I just think that they immediately signed him for 5 years, 136 mil. Like I'm okay. The Phillies weren't in on him.
No, that's fine, and they've now assembled just an elite. Starting rotation of playoff performers with him and Kershaw.
Yeah, how about that? Yeah,
I think they have. Oh god, someone tweeted out the stat, but the two, like him and Kershaw, have the two lowest. It's like the worst WAR of pitchers in the playoffs in like a pretty long time. So.
Yeah, it's gonna be funny when the 123-win Dodgers lose to the 83-win Phillies, just based on vibes.
We sound like total haters right now, but like I'll be honest, I hate the Dodgers.
Yeah.
So I'm completely biased. Like they probably, I love Shohei, but I despise the Dodgers.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
All right, well, talking about another big market team here. Juan Soto is a New York Yankee. No extension signed yet for him, which is interesting. But he's probably gonna hit like 60 home runs with that porch in right field.
Just reach out and touch that fence.
Yeah. Listen, like I know, obviously around here in Philly, the Yankees aren't the most popular team, but they're in the AL, and I'm glad I only have to see him 3 games a year.
I don't mind it at all.
If the Yankees win the World Series, I'm not going to shed a tear. Like I hate a lot of teams more than I hate them.
Yeah,
because we just don't really play them that much. I hate the Braves way more, the Mets way more. I even hate the Diamondbacks way more at this point.
I don't even know. I can't hate the Diamondbacks. The Diamondbacks are just kind of like tip of the cap.
Yeah, but I hate the Padres more than them.
Yeah,
like there are plenty of teams, our entire division, that I despise more than the Yankees. So. It is what it is. I'm curious if he's going to sign an extension because I kind of would have thought that the trade would have kind of been predicated on him just immediately locking up a long-term deal. But I guess he's going to bet on himself.
Yeah.
I mean, if he hits 60 home runs or so, like he's going to get a bigger deal than he would have before. So good for Juan. I'm glad he's not in our side.
Yeah, don't need to see
he
him.
did. He killed us in that Padres series, even though we won. We had a divisional trade. Chris Sale is headed to the Braves on a package that sends Vaughn Grissom to the Red Sox. I mean, I think his best days are behind him, but he's definitely going to piss us off at some point.
Yeah, that's still. I mean, for what you're going to ask out of him, that's a really good get for the Braves, and kind of hate that they got him, but he's also coming off of some injury stuff, so we'll see. But he's a very good pitcher, and I think giving up just Vaughn or was it just Vaughn Grissom?
I don't think it was just him, but I think he was like the headline, kind of.
And they seem to have weirdly just kind of given up on him.
Except they threw him out to end the series against his first at bat in like a month was to try and save the team's season. Like imagine you're him on the bench and it's like that one picture of that Drewski guy who's like pointing. He's like me. Like you want me to bat like with the season on the line. Like okay, are you sure? You want to think about it for a sec?
I read it when they traded him. I rediscovered another great tweet. It was the thing of like him coming up, and it was like when you're like faded at a party and get put in a serious situation.
Oh yeah, like someone's there's like a drunk driving thing. Yeah, like something where it's like oh you have to like get it together.
Yeah, he got a lot. He's just Vaughn Grissom at the plate.
Yeah,
that poor guy.
Poor guy. All right, so we got some more minor moves. Sonny Gray's going to the Cardinals. I think they also signed Lance Lynn as well. So I think they just got him to get a bunch of arms. If we had lost Nola, like I know Sonny Gray was kind of talked about as like someone that could be a replacement, but I don't know. He didn't do very well in a big market with the Yankees, so I'm glad he gets to kind of go and be in a quiet place in St. Louis.
Just Midwestern merchant.
Yep. Now an interesting team is the Royals because they made a bunch of moves. Like they signed Michael Wacha, Seth Lugo, Hunter Renfroe, and Will Smith is the biggest one because Will Smith has won 3 straight World Series with 3 different teams. So maybe if you just by signing him, it's purely for the vibes.
If the Royals win the World Series, he may honestly get $700 million the next year.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Someone would be like, you're gonna be in our clubhouse no matter what. Yeah.
That's. Good for them. I mean, I see we have here. At least they're trying. So,
at least they're trying. Yeah, I have that on the notes. At least they're trying because too many teams are just fine being mediocre.
I mean, they weren't mediocre last year.
They were just bad. Yeah.
So I think
they're trying to be mediocre.
Yeah. And they got some good guys in, and I think they're going to be able to, especially when you're trying to get Bobby Witt, some of your younger guys, just major league stuff. They're going to be good teammates to have. Good veterans to have in the clubhouse, and so I feel like those are all really good moves. They're not like competitive moves, but they're moves that are going to put them in a good place for the future.
I feel like we need the stove to get a little hotter. It's kind of cooled down with the snow.
Yeah. I think it seemed like a lot of guys were waiting for the big pieces to fall, and now we're going to see. We have a lot of guys up here: Montgomery, Snell, Stroman, Bellinger, all those guys. Probably now that the Otanis, the Yamamotos have, Soto gets traded.
Yeah, they set the market.
Yeah, now they're gonna go and try and figure something out.
Yeah. All right. Any other pressing needs you got to get off your chest here? I think it was a very productive first day in the studios here.
I think we're good.
Yeah, good to get our interviews in soon. I don't need to spoil any potential names, especially if that jinxes it and like the dates wouldn't work out with anything. But I would say the first interviews we would be doing would be with the minor league guys, just because they're the first.
Harper.
Bryce Harper, you are well. Bryce, if you're listening to this, you are welcome. We'll try and fit you into our schedule. We'll see what happens. No, I mean, I bet we could find. I don't know. I think it'd be cool to get like a Phillies minor leaguer, even if they're not a Delco guy.
Jim Haley.
Jim Haley. Yeah. Well, yeah, 2 birds, 1 stone with that. Yeah. All right. Well, I guess that'll bring an end to episode 42 here. Shout out producer Rob for setting this all up here and taking care of us here, but. I'm excited to keep it rolling.
Yeah. Talking with snows on the ground, we're talking about baseball, but soon it's going to be spring.
Yeah, I had to take some time off, but now I feel like we're getting locked in. So thank you all for tuning in the show. We'll see you next time.